Hello and you're very welcome to another edition of the JMAC podcast. I'm John Mann, and of course this podcast is sponsored by OrgaRetro.com. Check the website there for all your retro gear needs and wants. And today I'm joined by Barry Waters, obviously a former Cavan player and current Dundalk Hills player. So Barry, how are you? How's tricks?
All good, John. All good. Keeping well. Can't complain. I was glad to get back to some GA this week myself with the club scene. So all good in that sense. Didn't think I'd miss training that much, but I did.
Jeez, like us all, Barry, like us all. And have you shot the fame after our podcast?
Got a good. There was a good few of the Dundalk Gales boys very interested in the last podcast now. Just they enjoyed the listen now, and they were checking it out to see in case I said anything about any of them as well. So
not signing an autograph there, Barry,
no. No, they're still giving me and Joe Donoghue, the two Cavan men, a lot of grief there now. So
jeez, look after yourselves up there, boys. Anyway, that's the one thing I will say to you. Barry, we're absolutely buzzing. We're 2 days away from the start of the National Football League, and this is why we're here tonight to preview the Cavan and Fermanagh game on Saturday night in Brewster Park at 7 bells. We cannot wait for it. So you're looking forward to it, I suppose, Barry?
Yeah, it's great. I think even the fact that GA Go sort of came out and said they'll have all the games and everything as well. It's brilliant. Be looking forward to that. Yeah, I think everyone in Cavan is probably looking forward to building hopefully on the Ulster Championship from last year and sort of excitement and pride that the team brought to the county. So it'll be, I suppose, Division 3 is probably not where they want to be, but in the same sense a good building block for them. But tough games with the way that it's sort of set out with Ulster teams, pretty much, apart from I know Longford are in with Cavan as well. But the Ulster games are never easy, and I think Brewster Park is never an easy place to go either. It's a good fortress for Fermanagh, but in saying that, a good fortress for Cavan as well for a long time at under 21 level and everything going through there as well. So interesting.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I suppose, do you feel, obviously there is much pressure on the boys this year after last year being such a successful year, because we do know we need to kind of take the league campaign seriously this year, Barry, and obviously we got relegated last year, so there is big pressure on us, I suppose, to perform this year again, Barry.
Yeah, I think like Cavan supporters are always very expected, regardless of the team that we have at our disposal. They always want to, their Cavan supporters are very engaged with the team and follow the team through a lot of thick and thin. But yeah, there'll be a little bit of, I don't know, pressure. I think maybe pressure is probably not the right word. I think the guys will probably cherish the challenge of making sure that they move back up the grades and continue to show what they did last year, because I think a lot of people might say it was a flash in the pan and that the way the season worked out it worked Cavan's advantage, but this just doesn't make sense. The guys showed the extreme grit to get through a lot of those games and quality as well. You're still beating all these teams at a higher level. So I think, look, it'd be silly not to say that Cavan people would expect Cavan to get promoted and hopefully win Division 3 as well and move that into hopefully another successful championship campaign. But that's going to be difficult. There's obviously the first round match is a mouth-watering one as well with Tyrone, so that will be interesting. But yeah, it all starts Saturday, and yeah, I think it's going to be difficult, but everyone will be expecting Cavan to win as well.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I suppose regarding all the league and the championship, I suppose, Barry, but how important is the league to kind of have a good championship? Because I know, okay, fair enough, last year we did have a great league and had a fantastic championship that everyone obviously knows about. But how important is the league to Cavan this year to kind of have a building block for the championship? Because we do know Tyrone is going to prove a serious test.
Yeah, I think at any level, league is important. It's an important platform, to sort of build your season upon, and I suppose the thing with the league is you don't need to light the world up straight away, but you just need to get through the games. And a win's a win. If Cavan win on Saturday by 1 point and everyone thinks Cavan played horribly bad, people will forget that very soon once it comes towards the end of the season. But I think, it's a good chance for Cavan and Mickey and the team to sort of build on last year. And, in every sport, success sort of breeds success. And it'll allow, I think the league will be important as well to sort of blood in any sort of new players or any sort of style that they want to try as well, moving forward. So I think it'll be important. And yeah, they'll go out looking at each game one at a time, I'm sure, and want to win each of them and sort of top that half that they're in, and then move towards the final as well then. And silverware of any type of silverware is what you want, to win, and then you go into a championship campaign sort of full of confidence. Whereas I think if Cavan don't get promoted, there might be a little bit of doom and gloom around it a little bit, so that can sort of play into it as well. But obviously they upset that sort of trend last year, and they didn't have the campaign they wanted in Division 2, but obviously turned that right round, which is a great show of strength and character as well, like to be able to do that and then come through a lot of tough games to get to an Ulster title. They sort of showed that on numerous occasions. Even the Monaghan game, I had my head in my hands at half time and then jumping around the sitting room at the end of it. So when Ray kicked over the winner, so yeah, it's they've showed good determination and grit to sort of keep moving forward. So hopefully they can keep progressing.
Yeah, absolutely, and kind of go into all the games with great expectation. I suppose there is really, when you do look at it, Barry, there probably is a lot of pressure on the lads, so we really do wish them the best luck. And I suppose, Barry, just even before we kind of jump into the action, isn't it great to have something to talk about and look forward to? Because obviously with the last couple of months it's been tough on everyone, so isn't it really great to have, I know the hurling is back, but the football back now?
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, the hurling was back last week. I suppose as Cavan men, we can't comment too much on the hurling. We can't comment too much on quality of hurling. Well, I know I can't anyway. But yeah, hurling's obviously a tremendous sport as well at the pace they play it and everything. But yeah, as a Cavan man and having played football, my heart's always in football, and I'd watch any amount of games if they're on all day, which GA Go essentially gives us that access now. But yeah, it's great. It's gonna, as you say, gives people distraction from everything else, and as some something to chat about, and hopefully the same as last year, bring the whole of Cavan together, and flags and jerseys and everything everywhere as they progress through the season, and hopefully another successful one.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I suppose we can look into the game. I was obviously reading the Anglo Celt, and apparently we've only one injury going into the game. When I seen the headline, I thought it was going to be few, but it turns out that the sub goalkeeper, Liam Brady, is injured. So I think we have a full bill of health apart from that. And Cavan O'Reilly from Buttles Bridge is back into the Cavan team as well. So he was a very good forward in 2019, and it's great to see him back. So looking ahead, Barry, the task that Fermanagh will pose on Saturday night, it's their home pitch. They'll be mad to put one over us. I think it'll be a tighter game than everyone expects. So Barry, what's your initial thoughts to the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I think even just when we were thinking of chatting, I was sort of thinking back, they obviously played each other last year as well, in Division 2, I think, didn't it? Fermanagh came down as well. So yeah, that was 2-11 to 1-11. I think it finished up last year. So tight game, and that's the thing. I think people sometimes take Ulster football for granted a little bit, especially when there's two Ulster teams playing against each other. It can be quite a war of attrition as well. I think Fermanagh, though, even last year under Ryan McMillan, probably they expanded their game a little bit compared to, they obviously were quite defensive prior to that, where you could see what they were doing, and although they were in games, they maybe didn't look like winning them. But I think now, without knowing, to be honest with you, too many of the squad that they would have available to them and stuff, it seems like they're definitely pushing in the right direction as well. So it'll be a tough game, and it's the first game as well. To be honest, I'm not sure how many challenge games and everything both teams have been able to get in and everything, but it's still going to be littered with mistakes and everything because it's the first game out. So as I said earlier, just getting over the line. If Cavan win by a point, that's a very solid win. But yeah, from my point of view, I'd be expecting them maybe to win by 3 or 4 points across the game. Yeah, so be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I suppose it'll be pretty weird for the players as well, Barry, because they haven't played football since November. Well, a competitive game since November, so that brings on its own set of challenges as well, Barry. So, look, from outside looking into the Cavan panel, a lot of county panels all over Ireland going into the weekend, Barry, there is a lot of nerves, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think that's what people maybe take for granted. It's fine if I know even some of the loud lads and stuff were training on their own, and the Cavan lads would have been the same, and it's fine getting all the training in. And even this week now, I think back to training with the ball and other players, when you go into tackling drills and stuff, it feels a lot different, and it definitely takes a lot more out of you compared to the training you can do on your own. So obviously now they've had a number of sessions together as a team and in-house, but it's still hard to match or prep yourself for the intensity of a league game or a championship game. But I think the good thing is all teams are in a similar sort of situation coming into it, and if anything, I think Cavan showed serious fitness last year as well to sort of finish out games and always come strong towards the end. So hopefully that'll stand to them. And yeah, I don't know. I'm sure some players will be nervous, but I'm sure they're excited to get back as well and sort of get back to what they like doing and sort of build on last year. So they'll be keen to show everyone that it wasn't just a flash in the pan, and they're going to move back up through the divisions hopefully.
Yeah. And I was reading the article, and it obviously was saying Niall Murray, Grogan Kieran, and they've been long-serving members of the Cavan team, and I think their 10th or 11th year on the Cavan team at this stage, and the likes of Marty Riley, Ray Gallagher, and all the boys still going strong, leading the line for Cavan. So they would be the lads we'd be looking to for Saturday night to really get us over the line, Barry.
Yeah, I think in any team you like a mixture of experience and youth as well, and definitely the boys have been around a long time, through sort of good days and bad days. So they know, and I'm sure Martin would have played when I was in there a long time ago, which is well over 10 years ago now, back in 2010 or something. But yeah, we played in the lower divisions as well when I was in there at that time, and people take it for granted thinking it's easy to, if you get relegated from Division 2 down to Division 3, that you'll just turn around and win games. But it's certainly not like that. It's going to be competitive. So yeah, having the experience of the guys there who've sort of been through some of that before, the experience for all of them of winning the championship last year will instill good confidence. And I think as the games go, they won't panic. That's probably the big thing. Even if the first half doesn't go well or doesn't go to plan, Cavan have kind of shown an ability not to panic and just to sort of stick with the plan. And thankfully, it's come good. So hopefully, yeah, I think that's what their aim will be on Saturday as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose kind of looking into it, Barry, if Fermanagh do kind of adopt this kind of defensive style of football, which they probably will, knowing Ricey, what way do you think Cavan can go around that? Because we probably are well used to Canadian blankets in Ulster. So is it going to come down to long range shooting? Is it going to be down to Conor Madden kicking the long range points? Or where can you maybe see the game being won if it does come to it on Saturday night for Cavan, Barry?
Yeah, I think when that type of defensive system is played, and look, Cavan have played that in the past previously and have obviously expanded their game quite a bit. It's about being patient, and obviously there won't be fans there, so usually when there's fans there, they're not too happy when you're keeping the ball around the 45-meter line or moving it over and back. But that's game intelligence. You have to. These guys are all very clever footballers, and if they look up and there's nothing on, it's pointless kicking it in. So I think one way is turnovers, which Cavan done a lot against Donegal last year in the championship as well. You know, they turned them over around our 45 or between 21 and 45 and broke out extremely quick. So that gives you the opportunity to open up the opposition because they're running back towards their own goal. And then, patience, and then obviously the ability to kick long range points as well. I think that's going to be pretty key for them. But we also have a lot of guys who are good at, like Kieran Brady, for example, you know, extremely good at breaking the line, and obviously he showed that throughout the championship and even against Dublin, which was a tough day, obviously, for the guys, you know. But I thought he was phenomenal in that game as well, with the amount of line breaks that he was able to make. He always carries the ball to the opposition, breaks the line, and then, you know, doing that opens opportunity for everyone else as well. So I think Cavan are well suited to play any style, really, to be honest with you, that sort of comes against them, having played some of them styles themselves. So it's patience is the main thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's probably what it will boil down to. And I suppose, Barry, how important is it that we do kind of get off to win a start on Saturday? Because obviously, you know, win after win, winning's a habit, as they always say as well. So a win Saturday night, it is vital, really, Barry.
Yeah, I think just the way it's sort of split out as well, John, like, you know, having whatever the group of four, it makes it more important, you know. If it was the bigger group, you know, you can maybe afford to lose the first game and sort of get yourself back on track. But I think, you know, it is going to be quite a quick turnaround in games. They're playing every week, you know, so if you don't win Saturday, the pressure sort of mounts on you, because if you lose the next one, you're probably out of promotion then straight away. So I think a win Saturday eases a bit of pressure and makes everyone a little bit more comfortable. So hopefully they can get across the line Saturday. And as I say, I'm quietly confident that hopefully they'll be able to gain promotion this year.
Absolutely. Of course, guys, this podcast is sponsored by OrgaRetro.com. Check the website there for all your retro gear needs and wants. And I suppose looking ahead to maybe the other games, and like they will become ticking fast, Barry, week on, week off. So you're looking at Longford the following week. So look, probably another tough enough game. Haven't played Longford in a couple of years, Barry, but we always did have their number, but they always did put up a good fight against us.
Yeah, definitely. Throughout the years, I remember playing Longford and stuff as well as some tough games, and like they were obviously in Division 3 last year, probably, you know, a little unlucky with some of their games as well. You know, they performed pretty well. So I think that's what I was saying at the start. I think like the whole division as a whole, you know, there's not going to be a whole lot in it. So it is, I suppose, more important to get off to a good start. But I think Cavan, the Longford game, Cavan will be at home, won't they? So
I think so.
Yeah. So hopefully now, I think, it'd be good. Obviously, quite close neighbours as well. So, but as you say, I haven't played in a long time. But usually, Cavan gets across the line there. But I think Cavan are probably a little bit ahead in a development sense than where Longford are, and hopefully, you know, that shows on the pitch as well. So I'd be quite hopeful that they win that game. I think like when I was looking at the fixtures, I was kind of looking at this first game as being, you know, maybe the most tricky. I know obviously Derry as well are another Ulster team they seem to be getting their act together. Obviously they've sort of been lingering in Division 4 and 3 for a number of years, and they had a big fall from grace obviously from Division 1 a number of years ago, but they've always had strong club scene, Derry as well, which has always been fascinating as to why it's not coming together at the county level. But there seems to be a lot of going on there, you know, between the clubs and the county. But I'd still think that Cavan should have enough for them as well. So like really this first game when I was looking at is probably the one that we're thinking this would probably be the most difficult game for Cavan in the group, and then obviously you've got the other 4 teams on the other side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of looking at that Derry game as well, Barry, obviously Conor Glass is home from Australia, and I think he's going to be an absolutely huge player for Derry this year, and a lot of people are singing his praises. So I know you're probably predicting a win there, but that could probably be tighter than some people think.
Yeah. No, I think like when I say like they should be winning, I think you're still talking a three or 4 point game. You know what I mean? It's going to be difficult. I think what probably separates some of these games is goals at this time of year as well. And being able to find the back of net and on the other side, trying not to concede because obviously goals win games and all that. But I think Derry's going to be. They've got some brilliant footballers. Like, don't get me wrong. I just feel like they've maybe not progressed as much as they would have liked to over the years. But yeah, as you say, Conor Glass is back and everything, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see. It's always an interesting transition for players who sort of came back from AFL as well, just to how quickly they readapt to GAA and everything as well. Because it is different, but yeah, it'll be a tough game as well.
Yeah, and looking at the three games, Barry, I can see the Longford game being quite open, but Derry and Fermanagh game, I can see them being very defensive games of football because we know all about Rory Gallagher. He adopts a very defensive style of play, so probably very nip and tuck games, and as you say, very tight games and 2 or 3 point victories for either side, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, people might look at the games and say they're not very pretty, and they might not think that Cavan are flying or anything. But these are tough games. Like, you know what I mean? It's just about getting over the line, especially with someone who plays as defensive as maybe these teams will. You just need to be patient and wait for your time to sort of get ahead. And that's what I'm saying. Like, goals, I think in these games as well sort of bring these teams out. So if we can find a net early or in the first half, I think it'll sort of force these teams to maybe come out a little bit more. But yeah, I think Derry and I think Joe Brawley has had plenty to say about the style of football that they play as well. But look, you've got to play to your strengths and do what works for you and keep in games. Once you're in a game, you've always got a chance. So that'll be the thing for Cavan, trying to, if the game is tight, trying to make sure that they can still close it out.
Absolutely. Suppose we mentioned at the start, Cavan Riley come back into the Cavan team. Suppose, Barry, how much of a big addition will he be to this Cavan team? And suppose give Mickey Graham a bit of a headache in that full forward line.
Yeah. Cavan is a brilliant footballer. Like, I've seen him play at club level for Butler's Bridge and lighten up the intermediate championship a lot of times with big scores, of 1-9, 1-10 a game or something. That's harder done at any level of senior football than you can imagine. So yeah, he's brilliant. I think turn of pace and hopefully everything like that after the injuries and stuff he's had is all there. And yeah, I think he very accurate player as well, gives you another good option. So it'll be interesting to see. I think he's very natural in the full forward line. Like, he sort of turns on a sixpence as well to get scores. So, and he knows where the goals are. So it'll be good to have him back in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose, Barry, kind of watching on and kind of studying the Cavan team the last couple of years, who do you think would be the kind of key player for Cavan this year to kind of lead us to promotion and hopefully get a win against Tyrone in the championship?
Yeah, I think it's been really impressed obviously with Porrick Faulkner. He's been massive. I think just from he does a lot of work that's maybe unnoticed at times. It's not the glory of scoring and everything that might be seen by everyone else, but I think the amount of work he puts in is incredible. Like, with regards to working back, getting blocks in, slowing the play down on the opposition, and then when we need him, he's always there in the right position. So I think he'll be important, and it'll be. I think it's just going to be interesting. I think Cavan are very much a collective, when as they work through. So I think that's probably one good thing, that we don't have like an over reliance on any single player, which at some points people might say, oh, he's don't have a standout performer, but I think that's what makes Cavan stronger. The collective is very strong. So Yeah, I think, but yeah, Faulkner would probably be the main one for me, just because he sort of epitomises everything that they're about.
Yeah, definitely, but without a shadow of a doubt. And I suppose looking ahead into the championship as well, Barry, we've got the mighty Tyrone. So what's your thoughts ahead of that one? I think we should really be attacking it. And I think, in my personal opinion on it is, we should probably be better off playing them than the likes of Fermanagh, maybe Derry, Antrim, some of these teams. We know where we're at. So, Barry, what's your thoughts going into that one? I know we have a big league campaign to play, but Tyrone in the championship.
Yeah, it's an exciting one. I think once the draw came out, you were like, yeah, that's that's a big game. That's kind of one that you wanna play in, and I suppose all the games in the championship it's going to run the same, isn't it, this year, John, as last year with regards to straight
Knockout, yeah.
Yeah. So that always makes it more exciting and definitely better for the viewers and then the players as well. Everything's left on the pitch and on the line. So yeah, look, I think haven't heard a lot about Tyrone, to be honest with you, since obviously I've heard a lot about Mickey Hart because he's here and loud, but since that, haven't heard too much about Tyrone, obviously. So they seem to be going about their business and keeping quiet. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform in the league. But yeah, I don't think it's one that Cavan will go into the game fearing. I think it's like a 50-50 battle, and yeah, it's looking forward to that, and I think the lads can come out on top there again as well.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And word on the street is there's been 5 or 6 lads being dropped from the Tyrone panel, so there's obviously so there's obviously been a bit of cutting going on. I suppose in-house games, so various bits and pieces going on up in Tyrone. And I suppose how important will the league be for Cavan going into this game, Barry? Because at the end of the day, Tyrone have probably been the best team in Ulster for the last 20 odd years.
Yeah. I think as we chatted about there earlier, John, I think being honest, we want Cavan to be promoted, and we sort of expect Cavan to be promoted. So hopefully that is the case, and that leaves Cavan in a good position going into that game. We don't want any. Look, it's not the end of the world if they don't get promoted, but I think it better prepares them the more games they're playing as well going into that Tyrone game, and the more competitive games that you're playing as well. So if we can get to a league final and have another competitive game and win that, and then work into the championship. When is that Tyrone game due to be played, John?
July, I think.
July. Okay.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, look, I think it is important, and it'll be interesting to see how they perform. Obviously, they're in Division 1, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And I'm just looking at the table here. They're obviously in the north side of the Division 1 league, which is Donegal, Armagh and Monaghan, so there's they're going to be sick of the sight of Ulster teams by that time, so they'll be well versed and warmed up as well coming into that game. So yeah, I think it's hard to call at this point, but I'll go with my heart and say Cavan anyway.
Absolutely. What does the brain say?
The brain says that I think it'll be a very close game, but when I look at it, I don't think anyone in Ulster, like with the way Cavan played last year, and if they can match that type of intensity and hunger, they've got a chance against everyone. So there wouldn't be anyone that you would fear, I think, in the Ulster Championship, and that's probably what makes Ulster the most exciting. Every year there'll be people calling Leinster, there'll be people calling Connacht, there'll be people calling Munster, and when it comes to Ulster, they'll be kind of like, I don't know, so it's that's what makes it interesting. So yeah, hopefully the boys can go again.
Absolutely, 100%. Fingers crossed. And I suppose looking at Tyrone, Barry, obviously with all the forwards they've got in, Brian Dewar and Fergal Logan's come in to manage the team this year as well. So a lot of pressure on them, Barry.
Yeah, it's akin to Alex Ferguson leaving Manchester United. I think there's everything that goes with it, without knowing all the inside things in Tyrone. It's a tough act to follow, because albeit they may not have been happy with where they were in the last number of years, I think Mickey Hart still showed an ability to constantly change his team and bring new players in and keep progressing the team. It'll be interesting to see how they go, because like when you change and there's lots of change, it can be difficult for the team and the squad, and especially if they're going to try change the style of play as well. But obviously they've got a lot of talent as well, so a lot of it comes back to the players as well. I think sometimes managers are scapegoats for players maybe not performing as well as they possibly could. So, but yeah, there's some pedigree even in that backroom team and stuff as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose these kind of Tyrone, and obviously everyone's kind of looking at the forward. So if you were kind of make a prediction, or maybe the full forward line or that, like you have Derek Cavan, Colin McShane, Conor McKenna back home from Australia, had a great year last year. So I suppose who are the players to look out for against Tyrone, Barry?
Yeah, I think it's I admire Matty Donnelly a lot. Just from the way he plays and stuff as well. He's very energetic, gets up and down the field, very comfortable off both feet as well. If you watch a lot of the games, he makes them tick a lot as well. When he's playing well, they sort of tend to play well. But yeah, obviously the guys you've mentioned there inside are going to be a handful for anyone, and especially McShane. Before he had the injury and stuff, everyone was looking forward to seeing him back and playing last year. So yeah, I enjoy watching him playing, to be honest, but I'll not enjoy it against Cavan, I'm sure. But yeah, he's definitely a handful. He's very agile and mobile inside as well for a full forward. He's difficult. He's hard to deal with because he can win the ball high, low, and also take you on at the same time, which is difficult. But as I say, our main man Faulkner, hopefully if he has to handle him, we'll handle him as well, or Killian Clark. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Absolutely. Well, we can't wait for the action to start, and we wish the Cavan lads the very best luck for the year ahead. Barry Waters, thanks a million for joining me on the JMAC podcast this week. And of course, this podcast is sponsored by OrgaRetro.com. Check the website for all your retro gear needs. Barry, you're a top man. Enjoy the game Saturday and have a few beers.
I will do. Cheers, John. Talk to you soon.
Cheers, Barry. Thanks a million.
Bye-bye.